and welcome back to Admit One, the podcast where we unlock the stories behind films that left a lasting impact, just like the unforgettable Saturday morning that we witnessed this week on The Breakfast Club. And we're about to get real. I'm J-Dog, and this is...
The man of your dreams. What's up? This is Admit One.
Whether you are the rebel, the brain, the princess, or the athlete, or maybe a little bit of a basket case, there's something here for everyone. So, first and foremost, I like the movie. That's just how I'm gonna start off here. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I liked it up to a certain
just
point.
The banger intro song.
Dude, the drum intro was such a vibe. I wish all movies started out that cool. I don't remember what the name of the song was.
It was great.
But it was an excellent choice.
Don't you
Yeah, that's why I've been singing.
forget about me.
Yeah, that's why I've been singing it all day. Okay, that makes sense now.
No.
But when that glass shattered...
And then that quote from David Bowie.
Oh, yeah. When that glass shattered, I expected to see Stone Cold Steve Austin somewhere. I'm not going to lie.
That was the only transition I didn't care for in the film. That really dated it, but other than that, dude, that movie was timeless.
Yeah,
it was absolutely timeless. Like,
speaking of time,
I wouldn't have been
day that they were in detention is the same day that this episode will come out, which is March 24th. So I thought that was pretty cool.
No, wait, what? No!
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, at the beginning of the movie, he says the date that everything happened is March 24th. I hurry up and pause the movie, check the calendar, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's Movie Monday. That's when the episode comes out. So, yeah.
Oh
my
God.
Perfect timing. So if you're listening to this,
that's
happy
crazy.
Breakfast Club Day. I'm still not sure why it's called the Breakfast Club.
Happy Breakfast Club Day. I think because maybe they're gonna eat breakfast together now, but also maybe I wonder if they're gonna get detention again just to go back there on Saturday.
Well, I don't think there's a Breakfast Club
prior to this movie. No, I doubt it.
Brunch Club.
I don't think there is, but prior to this movie, Lunch Club.
But prior to this movie,
had you seen anything? Like, did you know anything about it? Because I just remembered I gotta get into the director and all that jazz. But had you seen anything reference this before?
I mean, I've seen memes regarding people that's like in the Breakfast Club. I don't think I've ever seen anything regarding the movie itself.
Victorious did a parody of it, and I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it now that I've seen the movie, because they did. All I remember is there's a scene in there, and it's the scene where they were asking her whether she was a virgin the first time, and Victorious are like, "Do you like fish tacos? You've never had a fish taco?"
Oh my gosh, I never would have made that connection.
Yeah, well, it's a whole episode. Like, they start the episode with the "Don't you forget about me" and everything. Like, it's a direct parody.
That's awesome.
The movie came out in 1985. It was directed and written by John Hughes, who has done other movies such as Home Alone. He's wrote those and a couple of the Beethoven movies. The Dog, of course, Beethoven.
That means it'll come out
rated
the 40th
R.
anniversary.
Runtime is 1 hour and 37 minutes. Oh my God.
It's been 40
Wow.
years.
That's just crazy.
Look at us.
We didn't plan this. We really did not. Oh, he also wrote and directed Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I really
that's really cool. I've also not seen that.
So I guess just a general overall view of the movie is that five kids?
Yes, I believe
Claire, Andrew, John, Brian, and Allison. Yeah, 5 of them.
Glad you remember the names, because I did not.
I've got them right here in front of me.
I should have done that.
They all get detention, and it's like the 80s, so they do like weekend detention, so it's like Saturday detention, so they have to stay a whole day at school, and they have to write a 1,000-page, or 1,000-word, not page, 1,000-word essay over who they are, and yeah, that's all I knew about it before I went into it. That was the only thing I knew.
I didn't even know that much about it. Like, I knew nothing about this movie going into it.
The only reason I knew that is because in high school, I was in a movie production class, and one of the other groups remade the intro to The Breakfast Club with Mr. Thompson in the library, like shot for shot. It's crazy. I'll show it to you. I haven't seen it in forever, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
But that's how I know the line. If you mess with the bull, you get the horns. But what you got in your notes, son?
Oh man. So, like in the intro, it shows the guy that's like walking in the crosswalk going into the school. He kind of looked like Tommy Wiseau at first. I was like, no.
Oh my god.
Fellas!
We will never escape. You're tearing apart the space-time continuum, Lisa.
You just hear his awkward laughter in the dead of night.
Outside your window. Instead of Santa, Tommy Claus comes to visit you and he says, ha ha ha.
Don't forget to leave out your gun for him.
This film was a shot in sequence. That's a fun fact I saw when I was looking. And that means that, for those that don't know, most movies are not shot in the order of which the scenes appear in the movie. They're shot depending on what locations and what actors are available at the time. This movie was shot beginning to end in order, which I think is pretty cool. I didn't know this, but apparently the theme song for this movie, the Don't You Forget About Me, I have to sing it every time I see it. I mean, come on. It was written for this film.
Was it really?
But those, yeah, apparently. Those are just some minor facts I wanted to share before we got too far into it, because I thought those were pretty cool, and those relate right there to the beginning.
That Bender guy, is his name Bender because he's
is hilarious. His name was Bender.
Yeah, is he supposed to be like a drug addict? Like, is that still like a play on?
Oh, dude, I didn't even think of that. I just wrote Bender in quotes. I said, this troublemaker sure is funny.
Dude, he just kept smarting off and just like kept getting Saturdays, and then he just looked really disappointed after he got like 7 or 8 in a row. Like, you just dealt with the Oprah Winfrey of Saturdays. He's like, you get a Saturday, then you get another Saturday.
Everybody's gonna get a Saturday. Look under your chair, Mr. Bender. There's a Saturday.
But he was just so surprised when he just kept getting Saturdays. Like, homie, you brought this upon yourself. It reminded me whenever...
Mess with the bull, Mr. Bender.
It reminded me of the first time I ever got detention, though. When I was in public school until like 5th grade before I was homeschooled. And so I went to Bell Central, and my best, like one of my best friends at the time, her name was Erica, and we had FLARP. This ties into a previous episode.
Got that FLARP money.
Got the FLARP. Dude, I would get kicked out of class all the time because her and I would be back there playing with the FLARP to the point where we just would not be paying attention and just causing such a disturbance in that class that the teacher would just like separate us or make me sit in the hallway. But that teacher in particular, I don't remember who it was, just gave me detention. I had no idea what detention was. So I went to recess and I came back in and she was like, "Where were you?" I was like, "I was on recess." She goes, "You had detention." I was like, "I don't know what that is."
My God. Yeah, I didn't know that if I robbed a bank with lemon juice, I had to go to jail. So I just didn't go.
Yeah, pretty much.
My first time getting detention was, well, my first time was in kindergarten. Because I went into the bathroom. What in the world did you do in
kindergarten that you got detention for?
Man, I was doing some hard time, okay? I sold some crayons on the black market.
Jesus
they weren't real Crayola, dog, and they caught on to me. They were crazy art.
That's what I was about to say. You got them crazy art.
Those crayons sucked. But I went into the bathroom and just walked in there, and there were these 8th graders, and they were being loud and obnoxious, and I asked them if they could get out of the way so I could pee. Because I was really short. I was a kindergartner, so I had to use the itty-bitty little urinal. And they wouldn't move, and they spun me around, and they kicked me, and I was screaming because they just, like, kicked the wind out of me, and I got in trouble for screaming, so I got 3 days of detention. But I also got detention in the 4th grade because my handwriting was so bad that my teacher made me stay inside and work on it. But I'll be honest with you, 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I would go to detention by choice. That way I could just sit there and read Harry Potter.
Dude, that is awesome.
Just sit there and read. Some teachers, depending on who had detention duty, would let you. But some of them were like, you can't be in here. You don't have detention. And I'm like, what? I'm just reading. I don't want to go outside. I'm reading. And they're like, you got to go outside. I was like, okay, but there were a couple of teachers that'd be like, oh, okay, well, here, now you have detention, read your book.
That's crazy that they just wouldn't let you sit inside. I mean, like, you're not hurting anybody. You're literally there to read a book. Like, no, you've been too good. You have to go outside and get oxygen.
That's the American education system, which I realize now.
Which is getting cut.
I realize now that I think the reason that they do recess is so the teacher could get a 15-minute break. Because recess was 15 minutes. Why else would they send you
It's
outside,
the exact same reason why I'll go to the bathroom and poop for 15 minutes.
Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I poop on company time.
Exactly, man. But then I had another memory unlock watching this movie. So the emo chick, the way that she was looking at like that thread, unlocked a memory of a girl that would sit behind me when I was in 4th grade. And I believe her name was Katie. She plucked my hair out of my head one day and turned back and she was just staring at it and said that she was going to clone me and make another me. I don't know if that ever actually happened, so shout out to Katie. I just hope that clone is a lot more successful than
I wrote a quote down that I thought was funny, how Bender told the sports guy that he needed a lobotomy and some tights.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And he said the door's way too heavy, and then the teacher went and put the chair in front of the door, and it just flew out.
Oh, yeah. Dude, and then, like, relatively within that same scene, somebody said, speak for yourself. And, like, their comeback was, do you think I'd speak for you? I don't even know your language. That was just such a good comeback in that, like, relative scene. I don't remember who said it.
There was a scene a little later on, still pretty early on, right after that, and then right after they put the bookshelf up. Bender and the sports fella, I need to just look at his name right now, because if I don't want to keep calling him the sports guy.
I don't remember his name. I know who you're talking about.
Bender and Peyton Manning were arguing, and it was Andrew Clark.
Yeah.
So Bender and Andrew were arguing over, I think, Bender giving Molly some crap. And Bender flips him off upside down and says, "Can you hear this? Let me turn that up for you."
Oh my gosh, yeah.
My dad taught me that. My dad told me that. Like when I was like 13, he was like, "Let me teach you something." And I wonder if my dad, because I did the math, and my dad would have been 22 when this movie came out.
Oh wow!
So I'm 1 year older than he is when it came out, and I think that's absolutely crazy. So I wonder if he just remembered that.
The way that teacher just like tore into Bender as he was in that supply closet was insane.
That was absolutely crazy, dude. He went way too hard on him. I was glad that the boy showed restraint and didn't hit him.
I really thought he was going to hit him. I was like, no, Bender, don't do it.
And that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny right before that they had left, because the reason that he got drug into the supply closet was he had to create a distraction running around the hallway singing a military jody, because they'd snuck to his locker to get weed. And I had a note about that because he pulled it out, and the little nerdy boy, I think his name was Brian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Brian. He said, "Drugs? The boy has drugs? That's marijuana. It's drugs."
Yeah, and then he looks at the emo chick and says, "That was marijuana. Do you have proof of this?"
And then after he gets locked in the supply closet, he climbs over through the insulation while telling a joke. Or through the roof, not the insulation, the roof while doing the joke, the ceiling, whatever. And he falls back through the tiles in the library, and he says, "Oh, sorry, forgot my pencil."
Oh, yeah, and then the teacher runs out there and was like, what was all that ruckus? And they're like, can you describe the ruckus?
Dude, they were literally, I loved how they like just defended him. I felt so bad for him for having a horrible home life and then being treated horribly by the teacher, which I think that movie was trying to show people that that kind of stuff can happen and that you never know what someone's going through and the power of vulnerability as well.
Yeah, like the whole last 20 minutes of this movie was just a giant therapy session, essentially.
Dude, I was tearing up like different parts throughout the last hour of the movie. It was so good. I'll tell you this, the scene in which all the characters were sitting on the floor and telling the stories about why they were in detention was not scripted. The director told him to ad-lib, bro. That was not
Really?
scripted.
That was really good.
That was not scripted.
That was really
absolutely amazing.
Dude, that smoke circle scene though, where they actually go upstairs.
Dude, the dancing scene.
Like, I don't think that dude smoked weed. I'm pretty sure he smoked crack. Because he was acting like that awkward homeschool kid that finally had his first sleepover and had lemonade with real sugar. Like, he was acting sporadic and off the walls. It was awful. I was embarrassed for him. It's like, oh man, what if somebody sees me watching this?
The marijuana that the actor smoked in that film scene was actually oregano.
Mamma mia. Oh yeah, and then the next part where they were like talking about what was in like all of their bags for some reason, and the chick was like, "Do you want to see what's in my bag?" And everybody says no in unison, but yeah, she just like dumps out her bag anyway. That one dude picks up his underwear and is like, "What the heck? What is this?"
I'm pretty sure, doesn't he say like, "Is it yours?" And she's like, "No."
I think so.
Going back to what you said about, you know how you were talking about him constantly, like the detentions. He was like, "Yeah, give me another one, give me another one, give me another one."
Yeah.
There's a note here that says that he constantly provoked Principal Vernon into giving him extra detentions, and that it's implied that he does that intentionally because he'd rather be with Vernon at school on a Saturday than home with his abusive father. And that it's also implied that he acts the way he does that because he'd rather have people think he's a tough troublemaker than a troubled abuse victim.
I mean, I can see that. That's just like what people do psychologically anyway.
Right.
But like, what was the athlete? What was his name? Andrew.
And Andrew.
Was it Andrew?
Emilio Estevez.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because Brian was the nerdy kid.
Yeah. He starts talking about why he's in detention, and he says that he taped people's buns together.
Yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's not what I was expecting him to say. Because then he just starts going on that story about how he like found that guy showering in the locker room, and I assumed that when he pounced, he was going to tape his butt together, not like assault the guy. That one really threw me off.
Right.
He had a lot of daddy
I was shocked
issues.
that Brian had a gun in his locker. Oh, they all had issues. Everybody has issues.
It wasn't an actual gun though. The thing that makes it funny is it was a flare gun. And he was
it's a flare gun.
Yeah. And as he was getting it out of his locker, he accidentally hit the trigger and caught his locker on fire.
Which I realize now that I guess that opening locker that was on fire was his locker. I need to go back and look at that again.
Yeah, because if you go like the intro, the person that was reading the thing, that was him reading the second half of the essay. I wasn't a fan of the last like 30 minutes of the movie when they were all sitting in a circle and just like trauma dumping. I was like, I don't understand this. Like, I guess I can see how it ties into a bunch of all the other stuff in the movie. It was just a weird ending for that movie.
I loved it. I loved it a lot. I think it showed that no matter what part of a clique you came from, whether you were a prep, whether you were a jock, whether you were a weirdo, whether you were a troublemaker, I think it shows that no matter what, sometimes no matter where you're from, any human can be vulnerable and break down those walls and create friendships despite your past experiences. That's how I took it. That's why I loved it. I think it was one of the best movies I've ever watched. It made me, once again, very thankful that we do what we do.
That's very deep. was very deep. I was just wanting more. Like I feel like if they had an extra like 30
No, I
minutes,
get that.
they could have tied it in a little bit better and not left me just kind of hanging on.
See, that's funny because the director originally wanted it to be 2.5 hours, and there were a bunch of scenes cut out, and the negatives were destroyed. And he had said that he had the only complete copy of The Breakfast Club on films.
Oh man.
And then there's a whole list here of cut scenes from the film.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like it was a really good
like
movie. I give it an 8 out of 10. But there was just some scenes like skipping that I was asking questions on what happened between the frames.
in those scenes where they're talking about like some of the scenes that were cut from the movies is the janitor predict where the kids would be in 5 or in 30 years. Um, when he went in there, he said Bender'd kill himself. Claire would have 2 boob jobs and a facelift. Brian will be very successful but die of a heart attack due to the stress of a high-paying job. Allison will be a great poet but no one will care. And Andrew will marry a gorgeous airline stewardess who will become fat after having kids.
But yeah, I thought Brian was talking about being a school shooter when he was talking about the gun. I didn't know it was to kill
That's
himself.
what I was worried about too.
And then I'm like, a flare gun won't kill you. It's just going to knock him unconscious and set his hair on fire.
She said the little weirdo girl said, "I can write with my toes."
And then she's talking about how she could like eat with it and like do something else with it. I don't remember.
She said she could brush her hair,
I think it might have been
brush her teeth. She could brush her teeth with her toes.
Yeah, she can brush her teeth, eat, and write with her toes.
I put down that the dance scene was iconic because I've seen that referenced in things before.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of memes, and that gave me several ideas for my music projects to create some
Cool.
videos. Yeah.
Did you have any quotes that stuck with you from this movie?
Oh man, let me find a good one.
Yeah, go ahead and look. Because I my short one that I put down was, "When you grow up, your heart dies."
Oh yeah, when Bender is talking to Brian, and he was like, "When was the last time you got laid?" And Brian said, "I lay lots of times. The last time I was with this girl. She was Canadian. You don't know her. I met her at Niagara Falls." I'm like, that's like the worst.
Andrew also said, "We're all pretty bizarre. Some of us are better at hiding it." That's all.
Yeah, that was one of my notes as well. And then when Brian said, "Being a virgin is my personal business," I want to put that on a shirt.
New Admit One merch, "Being a virgin is my personal business."
Exactly. The lunch scene as well, when everybody was pulling out their food. The red-haired chick, what was her name? I don't remember. She pulled out room temperature sushi.
I got you.
Did you notice that as well?
Her name was... I did not notice it was room temperature. Claire.
Yeah, Claire. I was going to say Blair. I was like, there's no way that it's still safe to eat.
There was a fact I had about that. Hold up. Because it wasn't originally sushi that she was eating. She was originally having pasta salad, but the actress said, her name was Ali Sheedy, suggested to John Hughes that Claire eat sushi for lunch, which was considered a luxury food in the 1980s.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
That lipstick scene made me uncomfortable.
I can do the same thing. That's no big deal. I can push my boobies together and paint my lips. That's why I quit, man. There's so many tryhards these days.
Too many sweats.
Too many sweats.
I had a buddy in high school. His name was Dalton. And he had like this weird thing with his chest where there was like a dip. Like how Middlesbrough is a crater, his chest was a crater. You know, there's a crater in it. It was just like a dip in his skin. It was probably an inch and a half deep. So there was enough for a pocket of liquid to sit there, dude. He drank Dr. Pepper out of it. A couple of my other friends did too.
Oh, dude, that takes a whole new meaning to
I
body
did not
shots.
partake.
He could get hired for parties.
See, that's the difference. In Japan, they have this thing, I don't know what it's called, but they eat sushi off of naked people.
Oh, yeah.
Here in America, we take shots of liquor out of chest cavities.
That's so nasty.
You gave the movie an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Okay. But I don't No, I still don't really know the whole point of the movie. Like, I still feel like there's a lot of gaps that could have been put in. I want to see the whole uncut, unedited version of this movie.
You want to see 8 hours of detention is what you want to see.
That is, yeah,
You want to see
because
an
it would
movie.
skip from one scene to another, and there would just be no information on stuff.
Got to use your context clues.
I still don't know why they're called the Breakfast Club, though. They never had breakfast. They had lunch. That's the lunch club. At no point did I see any breakfast foods. Like when, like when they started dancing, what happened for them to just start dancing? Because it was Brian talking about killing himself with a flare gun, and then 2 frames later, everybody's having a party.
So the movie's called The Breakfast Club because the original title of the movie was called the original. You know, guess what the original title of the movie is. I bet you can. It's one word.
Breakfast Club.
Detention.
Ah.
But John Hughes changed it after hearing a friend's teenage son refer to his school's morning detention class as the Breakfast Club.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, but still. I wasn't a fan of the emo girl's makeover.
Dude, I thought that was so sweet.
It was sweet, but she didn't look like herself.
She looked fine the way she. No, she looked fine the way she was, but I think it was cute how like she found love and even if it's high school love.
I mean, do we know if it was love? Last thing we know that they made out.
They smooched.
They smooched, and then they were standing in a parking lot, and then smooched again, and then left. Like that's the end of the movie. There's nothing.
I guess it's just open to interpretation. It wasn't about the destination; it was about the journey.
Well, they didn't give enough context clues for the journey, and the next thing you know, you wake up off the road trip, and you're where you need to be, and you don't know how you got there. Being a kid and then falling asleep at some point on the road, and then waking up the next morning in your bed. You don't know how you got there. You just know where you're at.
I remember those days very, very firmly.
Same.
Very firmly. I remember them very fondly.
I was like, that sounds weird. That doesn't sound right, but at the same time, it does.
Dude, you're gonna like this. Apparently, do you want to know who the original consideration was for the role of John Bender?
Oh man,
Your favorite actor, or at least who you said was your favorite actor in episode 1.
oh, I don't remember.
Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wow, that'd have been awesome. Actually, I feel like he'd have been a bit too old. Like
They just couldn't afford it.
no, this was 85.
How,
Yeah, this is 85. Never mind. I'm used to like 60-year-old Nicolas Cage.
when was Nick Cage born? 1964, so he would have been
Yeah, he'd been in his 20s.
21.
Yeah, my first guess actually was going to be Matthew Lillard.
I don't even think he was born yet.
Probably not.
When was Matthew Lillard? Yeah, he was born. He was 15 years old when this movie came out.
So he
was
could have
born
been
in
there too.
1970.
He could have been there too.
Other proposed titles were The Lunch Bunch and Library Revolution.
The Lunch Bunch would have made so much more sense because they had lunch together. Or even if they just left it detention, that'd have been better than the Breakfast Club.
Jim Carrey auditioned for the role of John Bender.
Oh, well, that would have been interesting.
I don't know another single thing that any of these actresses were in.
None of them looked familiar to me whatsoever.
It's kind of crazy because I'm sure that like back in the day, these were all like A-list celebrities.
I mean, if you look at bigger movies from that time frame, they're still not in anything that I've ever seen. But then again, I'm also not a movie guy, so they could actually be in a ton of movies.
Costco guys.
I've never been inside of a Costco before.
I haven't either, but I've been inside of a Sam's Club, and let me tell you,
oh man, I love
getting
Sam's
a hot
Club.
dog and a drink for $1.50.
Dude, yeah. So I would spend some summers in South Carolina with my grandmother and my cousin, and that's where she did all of her shopping at. Every time we would go, I would always get a hot dog and an icy. And what a time to be alive. So good. We should take a trip to Costco.
Dude, have you listened to this week's episode of Regulation yet?
No, I actually haven't. I mean, I listened to it while editing.
I'm gonna give you. Me too. I listen to it while I edit too. But I was going to tell you, this is a tiny spoiler for the episode, but I wanted to share this note on the podcast that they shared because I called a couple buddies of mine because this was such a big revelation. Do you know the song Jack and Diane by John Mellencamp?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, life goes on.
Yeah, every time I play music with Daniel Chumley, we always play that song.
So there's a line on it where it goes, "Sucking on chili dogs, outside tasty freeze." Well, I can't remember which one it was in the podcast. I think it was Eric or Jeff.
Oh yeah, it was Eric saying that a chili dog is the name for a slush puppy.
Dude, blew my mind.
I thought he was
ices. I thought of that.
I thought he was just over here scarfing down like really greasy, messy chili dogs. This whole time I have been He's just sucking them down.
He's sucking the meat off the dog.
He's sucking the meat off the bun. It's like
I don't know why I did the bad to the bone.
But yeah, man, this whole time I thought the sucking on a chili dog was an actual hot dog. Yep, it is just a slush puppy.
Oh, I asked you this before the podcast, and you said you were going to think about it.
Oh yeah,
favorite potato chip.
Oh yeah, that was the question.
I'll tell y'all right now while he's thinking, so there's no dead air in the air. Barbecue baked potato chips right now are my weakness. I like Grippos. Up in West Virginia, there's a brand of potato chip called Mr. B's, BEE, like a bzz, B, and they are a female-owned 100% company that makes all kinds of flavors. They do your typical sour cream and onion, original, barbecue. Then they got like pepperoni roll, all seasoned. And they're coming out with some Mothman chips here soon.
Oh yeah, I've seen those, dude. Have you ever been to Point Pleasant? I hate to change the conversation from chips. Have you been to Point Pleasant?
Yeah, my fiance grew up 20 minutes from there. We literally live an hour away. She just came back from there today.
Dude,
she has to drive through there every time she goes to visit her parents.
That is awesome. But my favorite potato chip, I want to say a Grippo.
Fire! Straight fire.
My favorite chip is a very salty, like, restaurant-style corn chip that you dip in salsa. But you have to have, like, a really good salsa.
Oh, my God.
So, like, really good chips and salsa.
Do you like to mix...
I like to mix what?
You like to mix queso with your salsa?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Yes, I do.
Dude, me and Liv went and ate Mexican recently. And, typically any Mexican restaurant you go to, basket of chips... bag of salsa, basket of chips, and a little platter of salsa. And, dude, they brought us salsa and this other white dip. And I was like, what is this? This isn't cheese. And Olivia looked at the menu and was like, it's creamy jalapeno dip. Dude, it was one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth.
Creamy jalapeno dip is delicious. I had never heard of it until I went with Noelle and her family to a restaurant called Chewy's. It is the worst food I've ever played.
I've heard of Chewy's.
It is awful. Her family is obsessed with this place, but it sucks so bad. It's really good stuff, but yeah. Not a lot of other people have heard about it.
I'm not a spice guy, but I tried some salsa verde Pringles this week. They were hot ones, Brandon. They were really good.
Ooh. Dude, I love spicy stuff.
I know you do. You're cray-cray with it.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen me put down some buffalo wings before.
I have. We ate Mexican frequently. Chinese, but the Chinese buffet was scared of us.
Yes, it was. And we went to the butcher's pub some too, didn't we?
I've never been. I never got to go before they closed.
Oh man. What is our next movie?
Our next movie's Uncut Gems.
Uncut
Gems.
With Adam Sandler.
You didn't even have to. You didn't even have to ask me. We just both knew that was what was next. Yeah. On my end, I said it as you were saying it at the same time. That was crazy. Yeah, it's Uncut Gems. I don't know what it is, what it's about. Let's see here.
It's about a charismatic jeweler that makes a high-stakes bet that could lead to the windfall of a lifetime. But he's in a precarious high-wire act, and he has to balance his business, his family, and his adversaries on all sides in pursuit of the ultimate.
Stars Adam Sandler, Julia Fox, Lakeith Stanfield, Idina Menzel, who was one of the original actresses in the Broadway version of Wicked.
Oh yeah, that's why that name sounds
The
familiar.
Weeknd?
What? Yeah, I'm looking at the cast. Was not expecting to see the Weeknd. I remember seeing trailers for it.
It's 2 hours. Oh.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad that this movie was only an hour and a half, though. I was not feeling a 2.5 hour movie.
You conflicted yourself just now. You said you wanted it to be longer, but now you don't want it to be longer.
I mean, if I'm going to watch it, I mean, I want to know what I'm watching. I mean, if you look at, The Room versus Wicked that we just watched, it was an extra hour on Wicked, and you knew what was happening with each scene.
That's fair. Well, I guess it's time to wrap up then, ain't it? What are we at? Because on my end, of course, my recording's messed up, so...
Just going on 51 minutes.
Okay, that's not too bad.
No, it's not.
A little bit of a shorter episode this week. On my end, it's 44 minutes because I lost 7 of them, so...
I'll get that audio clean as good as I can, and we'll try to make it fit. But if it sounds weird...
It'll work.
Why.
It'll work.
I'm not worried about it.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening, watching. This will be out on Breakfast Club Day, so happy Breakfast Club Day. Very excited.
Go eat lunch.
Very excited to go eat lunch. I tell you, I think this is going to make a month of us doing this now, roughly. I don't know what day our first episode was posted. It looks like, hold up a second. Clicked on the wrong podcast. February 25th. So, yeah, this will come out a day before. So, we've been doing this for a month now. And we're loving it. And we can't wait to bring you more.
Dude, we made a lot of progress in a month.
Yeah, we're doing great. We're doing great.
A lot of organic growth.
Make sure to follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
Comment and let us know how good of a job that we're doing. Give us 5 stars.
Yeah, comment on Spotify.
Tell your frenemies. Tell your pastor. Tell God about this podcast.
Next time we might even read. If you comment, we get enough comments, we can read them and respond to them on here. Give y'all some feedback.
Love the feedback.
But this has been Admit One. I'm Jaden.
I'm Tristan.
This is
Admit One.